We won't back down. Afternoon, everybody. We're here to try and get some justice for an Australian citizen who's in Belmarsh prison in Britain. And we're trying to bring it to the attention of the public so the public can put pressure on the political class to do the right thing. It's perfectly within the government's means to be able to get him freed because he hasn't been charged with anything. There's no evidence of him doing anything wrong. He's just being used as an example to frighten whistleblowers. And we can't allow politicians to keep people in prison that expose crimes, war crimes, political crimes. If we do, we're living in a dictatorship. And I think it's fair to say, as we see people walking past here, just about everybody supports the cause now. Why doesn't the government support the cause? They say it's a democracy. Well, they're certainly not doing what the people want. Anyway, that's why we're here. So please do what you can. Call up your politician, call up his office, send them a letter. Let them know if you see them at the supermarket or in the shopping centre. Let them know they are responsible. We're holding them responsible. And if they fail to do the right thing, they will get unelected, just like the last governments have all got unelected when they wouldn't do the right thing. So if they really want to keep their job, I suggest that they do the right thing.
Hello everybody. A good man died this week who was a real backer of Julian Assange and John Pilger. He made two incredible documentaries, The Coming War with China and Utopia, about how we treat the First Nations people of our country. Over 350 deaths in custody and not one officer in jail. It's wrong, wrong, wrong. The way we treat the First Nations people of country is absolutely terrible. That no police officer has seen any jail time. There was a case in the Northern Territory where we nearly thought we were going to get a police officer in jail, Dermot Guy Walker. Now, I want to say something else. Julian has got an appeal coming up in the Old Bailey Court in February. This is probably his last chance for freedom. This is probably his last chance for freedom, everyone. He's been tortured in that jail. Psychological torture. Absolute psychological torture. And Tucker Carlson and Stella went recently to visit him. Now, this is definitely the last. He's going to die. And he's done nothing wrong. Just exposed war crimes of an imperialist power in the United fucking States of America, the greatest warmongering nation on earth, trillions of dollars in debt to nations. One of the big nations they're in debt to, over $1 trillion, is China. So I just want to say, this and fucking COVID are the greatest injustices of the 21st century.
I believe the majority of people are awake to what's going on. They haven't connected all the dots, but everybody out there, is there one person out there that likes Anthony Albanese and thinks Anthony Albanese's doing a good job for Australia. Hands up. Hands up who like... Oh, there's two. I can see two people over here that like Anthony Albanese. I probably can see the best part of 1,000 people, and I can see two blokes here.
Julian, guys. Free Julian.
Yeah, this guy's on it, but these two fellas, would you like to come and say something in support of Anthony Albanese? Come and tell us why you like Anthony Albanese.
He's a sick cunt.
No, but what is it about him? What's he done? You think he's
He's got some nice glasses, to be honest. They're nice, you know? Like
Are you anti or for him? Are you anti?
Yeah.
Why are you anti?
I don't know what he's done.
Why? I've been asked why I'm anti-Anthony Albanese. Where do I start? Hey?
What is...
Where do I start, Billy? He's anti... No. Democracy is where we are the boss.
I know democracy, but like...
Yeah.
We're the boss.
What's the
Anthony Albanese is our servant.
Actually, you changed my mind. Fuck Albanese.
Oh, come on. We
Fuck
needed
Albanese.
2 out of 1,000.
Fuck Albanese.
Oh, did you hear that, folks? Albo just lost 2 of his dearest supporters.
Two underage supporters.
Fuck Albanese.
Sorry, Anthony. Everybody here in Town Hall Square's against you, mate. There's not one person that'll stand up for you. Come on. There must be one person out there that's got something. And hands up, who supports Anthony Albanese? Come on. There must be a cousin of his or something out there. Don't be shy. No, I can't see one person. Hang on, the tram's just moved. Maybe there's someone on the other side of the road. Is there an Anthony Albanese supporter out there? Okay, so what does that tell us, folks? What does that tell us? That everybody here in Town Hall Square, and there must be the best part of 1,000 people, are awake to the fact that Anthony Albanese is not acting in our best interests. How do I know that? I know that because Julian has been in jail, and Anthony Albanese, although he said before the election that enough was enough, has done nothing. Nothing. Nada. Just remember when you're voting, don't vote for Anthony Albanese. Anthony Albanese is dead. He's a dead man walking. He's a fool. He thinks that if he follows the orders of the globalists, that they'll ensure that he's okay. He's forgotten something. He's forgotten about us. Anyway, he'll be quaking in his boots. He knows that his side's lost. That's why he's gone into hiding. He doesn't go to his electoral office anymore because it's mobbed by people and cars driving past tooting their horns. Even the police toot their horn when they go past him. He's really lost this. Everybody's awake to this man. And every day we learn something new. Sleazy Albanese, I like it. It rolls off the tongue like the slippery, slimy, slithering sycophant that he is. Reptilian. Okay, let's get back to important topics. The criminality that is now well documented is all about to be exposed. The CIA are facing 2 lawsuits at the moment, and their attempts to have the cases dismissed on national security grounds have been thrown out of court by the judges. So there will be discovery, there will be a mountain of documents that will be subpoenaed from the Central Intelligence Agency. So all I can say is when that starts to happen, put your seatbelts on, because what you've heard so far is just the tip of the iceberg. The night before his first court appearance, after he'd been in Belmarsh for some number of months. And that night, they woke Julian Assange 5 times and got him out of his concrete bed and walked him out of his cell and moved him to another cell, approximately every 1.5 hours. And I believe that they were monitoring what's called his rapid eye movement state, which indicates that he's going into a dream state. So what they did was deprive him of his dream state, which is a known psychological torture that can send you insane if it's done to you for 72 hours. When he appeared in court the next morning, he had trouble remembering his full name and his date of birth. And that was because of this disturbed night's sleep he'd had. And they would have gloated on his struggling in court to remember his full name and date of birth. We must eradicate these evil creatures from this planet. And then we can all get on with our lives. But don't worry, these evil creatures, as we expose them to the light, they will bring each other down in a desperate attempt to save themselves. You watch. They are going to self-destruct. And then we can look on and we can have that smug look on our faces as they destroy each other.
Folks, how embarrassing for Australia to see all these beautiful people from all over the world coming by. We've seen people from probably just about every country in the world walk by here, and they've looked at this, and what do they see? They see Australia being a puppet of the global military-industrial complex, war profiteers, and our political establishment not even having the courage to stand up for some semblance of justice for an Australian citizen. I'm embarrassed. I'm totally embarrassed. All these people see us and they think Australia is a vassal state. They're just puppets of these foreigners who want Julian Assange in prison because he's a whistleblower, and they're frightened other whistleblowers will come out, so they want to make an example out of him. This goes right back to ancient Greece and probably before. Many of you might know the fate of Socrates, who was put to death in Greece 3,000 years ago for speaking truth to power. They're afraid of the truth. They're afraid that people will hear the truth. And they will be prosecuted for their crimes, possibly. But it's very important that every human being in the world is taught about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And Assange has done nothing more than exercise his human rights. And it's very important. I don't care where your family come from, whether it's China, Malaysia, India, anywhere in Southeast Asia, Turkey, Iran, any country in the world. We're all bound to stand up for the rights of the human being. We can't be treated unjustly and cruelly by governments that are despots, dictatorships. You think you can't do anything about it, but you can. You can. We need to stand up for people being wrongfully treated in any country, and we want them to stand up for people being wrongfully treated in our country. We cannot allow the political establishment to commit the most horrendous crimes with impunity. Has anyone paid a price for the mistakes they made in Iraq, mistakes they made in Libya, mistakes they made in Afghanistan? I'll tell you what, but there's been hundreds of billions of dollars gone into private pockets about it. And it's all been facilitated by the mainstream media telling people a whole lot of misinformation and disinformation. And they have the gall and the stupidity to come out and talk about the people spreading misinformation. We all know where the misinformation's coming from. It's coming from the government and the mainstream media. And if you all want to go and say, "Hail Hitler," well, you can go and do it. But Julian Assange felt compelled to stand up for human rights. I think it's interesting that we just quickly go through and see what all the countries in the world agreed to in terms of human rights after World War II. A couple of years after World War II, every country in the world virtually made an agreement that no government could treat people wrongfully anymore. And this is what they agreed to: the right to equality, freedom from discrimination, the right to life, liberty and personal security. Liberty. You hear that, folks? The right to liberty. They agreed to that. This is a law. This is the law to protect humanity from despots and dictatorships. The right to recognition as a person before the law. They can't just put you in jail and say, you don't have access to the law. Freedom from torture and degrading treatment. They agreed that we are to be freed from torture. How much torture have we seen in the last 70 years? It has to be stopped. Julian Assange is one of the heroes in the whole world that's had the courage to come out and create an issue out of these war crimes. Everyone in the world knows about this. Everyone. People in Europe, people in America. There's people demonstrating all over the world. But it seems in Canberra they don't know about it. Well, I predict they'll know about it come the next elections, because we're not going to forget. When crimes as serious as this are being committed by public officials, they get the sack. You can bet the house on it. They also agreed to another human rights they've agreed to is the right to remedy by competent tribunal. In other words, a competent judiciary. Freedom from arbitrary arrest and exile. Now, isn't that the situation Assange is in? He's been subjected to arbitrary arrest. They haven't charged him with a crime. They haven't produced any evidence. He's just been arbitrarily arrested, right? So this is our own government violating these laws. Yeah, they do. They do. There's millions of people all over the world.
Do you support Anthony Albanese?
There's another one, Article 11. The right to be considered innocent until proven guilty. Assange has not been proven guilty, so he has to be assumed to be innocent. Why isn't it at least on remand? Why isn't he allowed at least out of prison and have a hearing date set for him? No, they won't let him out. They're using the process, the illegal process, to keep him in prison as the penalty. We have the freedom from interference with privacy, family, home and correspondence. Freedom of interference with privacy. How about these governments spying on people left, right and centre? Again, that is a violation of human rights. Freedom, right to free movement in and out of the country. Now, what have we seen regarding that recently? People being arbitrarily unable to leave countries, being unable to... It's crazy. What else? Article 14, the right to asylum in other countries from persecution. Assange applied for asylum from the Ecuadorian nation. Carreras, their then Prime Minister, granted him asylum. He spent, I think, 4 years in the Ecuadorian embassy in Knightsbridge in London. But sooner or later, they went in with a deal that the Ecuadorian government couldn't refuse, and so they allowed the police to come in and arrest him inside the Ecuadorian embassy. That again is a violation of that particular right, the right to asylum. Also, they wouldn't let him leave the country to take asylum in other countries. People have a right to a nationality and the freedom to change that nationality. The right to marriage and family, the right to own property, freedom of belief and religion, freedom of opinion. Freedom of opinion is a human right. What's this hate speech all about? I'll tell you where the hate's coming from. It's coming from the mainstream media, stirring up division, stirring up hate. Look over here, look over there. This religion's fighting with that religion, and we got crime here, and we got crime. Look anywhere but what they're doing. Another human right being violated. We have freedom of opinion and the right of peaceful assembly and association. Well, I'd like to thank the New South Wales Police, New South Wales Government, City Council for allowing us this right to demonstrate. That's one of the few human rights they're not violating, but they will. If there was I'll tell you what, if there was a few thousand of us here, they'd find a way to muck it up. What else? Freedom of opinion, right to participate in government in free elections, social security, rest and leisure, education, social order, community duty, freedom. Freedom from state and personal interference in the above rights. So we're living in a country now which I don't recognise. I grew up in Australia. We didn't have a single political prisoner. For the first 55 years of my life, as far as I'm aware, we didn't have any political prisoners. It was abhorrent to us, the thought. We had people from all over the world. We liked each other. We worked together. We respected each other. We had mutual respect, cooperation. Look at it now. Everyone's stirring up all this hatred between communities. It's a very, very serious problem. We don't need to be divided. We need to join together and say we've all got one thing in common, and that is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And that is the law, and that is the law the government is violating, and that is why we're here. They have to grant Julian Assange his human rights, and if they have no evidence, after 14 years, if they can't table any evidence, it's outrageous that they're keeping him in prison. We're going to be here until we get some justice, and no doubt we'll see another government go down because we don't trust them. Anyway, folks, please tell your friends. It's a very, very serious issue. All human beings have to stand up for justice for all human beings, because governments can be very, very dangerous, and they lie. You have to assume you're hearing lies. Do some research. Maybe they're telling the truth, but I wouldn't bet. I wouldn't bet all the time when it comes to geopolitics. Thanks, folks. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Billy.
Folks, there's a situation in the International Criminal Court in The Hague next week where they're having hearings for the South African case that's been lodged against this Polish Jew, Bibi Netanyahu, the killer. Now, I was censored myself because apparently it's fake news to say, apparently there was a Time article saying killer of the year. The fact checkers took that down off me, didn't they? Because Zuckerberg met with this Bibi Netanyahu. Now I'm telling you, I don't want war. War's terrible. Look what's happening with Ukraine and Russia. There's still no resolution there. But I'm telling you, if this doesn't get resolved next week, war's coming between Hezbollah and Israel. The Mahdi army. Look it up. Look it up. Thank you for listening. Let's hope there's no war with China. There's no point to wars. Wars don't. War is over. War is over. There's no point in wars. They don't achieve anything.
Welcome to the 215th week of Julian Assange Sydney Town Hall gatherings. Truthful information is indispensable. Governments and media that don't give us truthful information must be treated with great suspicion. Time and time again, we find ourselves being lied to, with the consequence of having our world made less free and less safe. Media have lied about Julian Assange to suggest that he is something other than an ethical, truth-telling journalist. And our political leaders have gone along with it. Shame on them. Even politicians who have said they support Julian's release from prison have been known to repeat the media lies about him. Since the beginning of the century, we have been hit by many lies. We have been told that our militaries would be used to bring democracy to the Middle East. But this lie fell apart in 2010 when Julian published documents revealing atrocities committed in Iraq and Afghanistan by the United States and its allies. We cannot afford to believe the lies of governments and media, yet many still do. In just the last few years, millions of people, especially the old and frail, are known to have been medically harmed and killed through coordinated dishonesty of governments and corporations. Suppression of the truth is a big problem affecting all of us. Credible people speaking the truth are demonized, especially when they contradict dominant, false narratives. It has become standard practice for media to demonize truth tellers, as we have seen happen to Julian Assange, to discourage the public from paying attention and learning the truth. We must all wake up and learn to be skeptical of information that is presented to us by governments and their media. I should call them the propagandists. They're not media. Media are supposed to work for us. They're supposed to be on our side. They're the fourth estate. But the ABC and these other commercial clowns are propagandists. especially when that information is used as an excuse to override our human rights. It might be possible to imagine an extreme scenario where human rights need overriding for the sake of humanity. However, such scenarios are more at home in science fiction than in reality. The suppression of vigorous, open debate is a clear signal of malfeasance. We cannot afford to ever assume that governments and corporations know better than we do, or that we don't have the right to participate in democratic discussions. The whole point of having democracy is that we are able to participate in it. Demonising individuals to stifle democratic debate is a preposterous state of affairs and undemocratic by definition. It is with great sadness that the end of 2023 brought news of the death of John Pilger. John was an extraordinary Australian journalist and filmmaker who really understood the importance of truth and the gravity of Julian's work. John became a close friend and supporter of Julian from the time they first met in 2010. John Pilger will be greatly missed by all who value truth and truthful journalism. It is becoming more and more obvious to people that there is a game being played. The game involves a degree of blindness to reality. In the short term, you will be rewarded for playing the game. If you don't play the game, you will be punished. Those who see the need for unity, truth, and freedom are not playing the game. Julian Assange doesn't play the game. And his work has shown us that none of us should be playing the game, particularly if we value freedom. Not playing the game puts us all at a significant short-term disadvantage, but being part of the momentous fight for the emancipation of humanity is the only long-term option that is viable. It is a time for standing in the truth and helping to fight for the freedom of Julian Assange. Please join with us. Help free Julian Assange. Free! Free! Julian Assange! Free! Free! Julian Assange! Free! Free! Julian Assange! There is only one decision. No extradition.
Just about the extradition of Julian Assange to the American Guantanamo prison. I don't think it's going to happen now because Tucker Carlson is on the side of Julian Assange. I think the extradition is off the books now. All we've got to fight for is for Julian to get home, to be with his family, be with his young boys before the poor bloke passes away, for God's sake. He's not a criminal.
That's now the country that we are living in. This man, who should be in Oslo, getting the Nobel Peace Prize, handcuffed 11 times, handcuffed for what? He was in a bulletproof box all day in the court. Why did they take his legal papers away? Talk about an abuse of process. I know every legal meeting that Julian had with his representatives in absolute brazen defiance of the rules of justice.
Nothing yellow about Julian Assange. There's nothing yellow about Julian Assange.
I got a song for the politicians. It's called Get Off My Cloud. Well, he built an apartment on the 99th floor of Marlow. I sit around looking at the wide, wide world, thinking that I'm out of town. Dressed up just like the Union Jack. He said, hey boy, you got 5 pounds if you have this kind of touch-eyed pack. And I said, hey, you get off of my cloud. Hey, you get off of my cloud. Hey, you get off of my cloud. Well, don't hang around, 'cause two's a crowd. On my cloud. Telephone ring, I said, who's that there on my line? sick and tired and fed up with all this, I thought I'd take myself on a walk downtown. And it was so quiet and peaceful there. Not a soul around. So I laid myself down and I started titrating. And in the morning, those $100 parking tickets were like flags all over my windscreen. And I said, hey, you get off of my ground. Hey, you get off of my ground. Hey, you get off of my ground. Don't hang around, cause two's a crowd. I said, hey, you get off of my ground. Hey, you get off of my ground. Hey, now you get off of my ground. Don't hang around, cause two's a crowd. On my ground. Now listen, that's a little message from us to Mr. Albanese. It's not fair. Someone called him Sleazy Albanese. Why would you say Sleazy Albanese? No, I wouldn't say that. But I would say he's short. Anyway, you know, well, sure. Oh, God.
Free Julian! Free Julian!
They would have to put hardly any pressure on the Americans to get him out of prison, but they're not doing it. They're not prepared to stand up for Australian citizens' rights, so they'll do it for you as well. At the moment, being summertime, we're here every Friday from 5 p.m. until 7 p.m. Don't think you can't do anything to fix these crazy policies of dropping bombs on people, throwing journalists in prison, murdering journalists. Apparently something like 200 journalists have been targeted and murdered in Gaza in the last few weeks. They don't like journalists that expose what they're doing. And they want to make you think you can't do anything, but you can do something. Speak out, tell on your friends, come join us on Fridays. The government knows we're here, and I'm sure they don't like it. But fortunately, there's one human right they're allowing us to keep, and that's the right to demonstrate, and we're demonstrating, and hopefully we'll see some of you here next Friday at 5 o'clock.
We're also in Hyde Park tomorrow from 10 o'clock up the north end near the fountain, just beside the old chessboard behind St James Station. Come and join us 10 o'clock, from 10 o'clock tomorrow till about probably 2 in the afternoon. The Palestinian rally starts at 1. There'll be a big turnout from 1 o'clock. So come early, join us at 10 o'clock tomorrow. We've got a special early start for our 111th Julian Assange tradition. Or should I say our Julian Assange Sydney Hyde Park Tradition number 111. A very good number, 111. Come and join us. It'll be fun. 111.
So we've been going to Anthony Albanese's office every week on a Thursday, 11 a.m. Since prior to the last election, which is about 20 months we've been going there. And lately we've been joined by some lovely young ladies with little babies protesting about the the genocide in Gaza. And they're very gentle, sweet people, and they wanted to join us to support Julian as well. And last week we all left and dispersed and went our own way. And then I had a phone call from one of the young mums, and she said, "Oh, Anthony Albanese he came out and he's in the restaurant just up the road." So I said, "Okay, I'll just turn around the car and I'll come back." So we came and we had our banners out so that Anthony could see us. But what this young lady told me was she was walking up the street and Anthony Albanese was with a number of people, including a couple of men who were his security. And she said to him, "You're causing a genocide in Gaza." And this young lady has lost family members, friends of family, dozens of people she's personally lost. And instead of the Prime Minister ignoring her or smiling, being friendly, he apparently became very aggressive and angry and told her to F off. And she had her little baby with her. And I just think that that's totally unbecoming for a Prime Minister to treat a young mum and a baby like that. And then I saw some other videos, one of Anthony Albanese flipping off protesters, and other people have told me that he'd done the same thing, told people to F off if he didn't agree with them. So hopefully Anthony's conscience is pricking, and that's why he got so angry. Maybe he feels ashamed. But either way, I think we should expect more from a statesman of Australia, and he should be treating people with dignity, not with contempt.
So he's rattled.
I think he is rattled, yeah.
Free Julian! Free Julian!
We are all Assange.